Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This video we're going to just update you on several different projects that we've got going on here in the shop. It's been really crazy busy here the last couple of weeks. We've had a family vacation. We've just had all the, getting caught back up from that. I've bounced around between all three projects here in the shop. Plus we took on another little project that I'll tell you about here in just a minute. And I also apologize if the audio is off on this one. Somehow we broke our wireless microphones, so we're having to get a new microphone for that. So I do apologize. But so I'm just going to walk through the shop and just kind of update you on all three of the vehicles in the shop: the Trans Am, the C10 truck, and the '69 Bronco. So first of all, let me get the camera turned around here, and I'll show you. We took on my son's Little League football team. We've redone all of their helmets for the entire league. So we've got about 70 plus helmets that we completely stripped down. We did new logos for. We painted the helmets blue, the face mask orange, so all that had to be sanded down. We completely took the helmets apart. All the padding on the inside come out. Had to keep up with all that. It's a lot of work. We've already had one round of picked up, and then you see there we've got a couple more ready to go as well. So we've had that going on, and that's been all my nights, my weekends. So I've been really busy with that as well. The 77 Trans Am, get that. He doesn't look a lot different. We've got the exhaust in that done. We're finishing up a few things. Now we did fit in some new seats for the car, and today I've actually went in and fabricated this filler piece here between the bumper and the lower spoiler here. Now this is all 18 gauge sheet metal. We did a little bit of bead rolling in here, and we're using a 77-78 front bumper. The lower spoiler is for a 79 because we use the wider year one quarter flares here, so they actually fit more like a 79. So we use a 79 spoiler, and of course that leaves this big open gap there. I don't really like that, so we tried to replicate the factory look of what a somewhat of a factory look of what a 78 or a 77 front spoiler would be. And that piece there, we just got some screws here that hold this up here to the bumper. Everything's tucked in behind. It's on top of the spoiler, and that also helped pick that spoiler up. Now this is a fiberglass piece here, so it's kind of drooping down a little bit, so it kind of helps hold everything up nice and tight, as you can see there. So that'll all be painted black, and once it's all said and done, we also have some mesh that we're going to put in here in the holes. We're going to do a like a honeycomb mesh that'll match the mesh that's on the headlight grills as well. And we're also going to take that same mesh, and we're going to come in here and make a grill and kind of fill in this area right here, just to kind of give that a whole lot different look. So you can see there, we've started tearing the car down. I've taken all the wiring harness out of it. We've removed the radiator. Everything's kind of starting to come apart. We're bagging, tagging, labeling everything, all of our hardware. We've got a pile of pieces over here of parts and pieces that we've made. We're labeling them, what needs to be done to them still, what colors they're going to be painted. So all that's being done on the Trans Am. So that, again, we're pretty much finished up with that. We did fit in, I think we've got that on video. So with the exhaust done on the 77 Trans Am here, the last little bit of fabrication that we had to do was to figure out what kind of seats we were going to put in this thing and figure out how to mount them. So what we ended up coming up with is we found a used set, obviously, of seats. These are from a WS6, an 02 model WS6 Trans Am. So it's a power seat here on the driver's side. You have a full power adjustable seat there on the base. You have power lumbar on both seats. So what we'll do is we'll end up reupholstering all of these in a black leather, I'm sure. And then on the rear, we have incorporated the 02 model rear seats as well. So we're going to try to use the bottoms from the 02 and put in here so they have the little recessed area there, and then we'll probably incorporate those with the factory rear from a 77. So we'll have to do a little bit of modifying there on all of that and get these, figure out how we're going to get these actually mounted in. But that's kind of our idea, is what we're going to do on that. But you can see here the seats line up really good. They sit comfortable. We did have to make all new mounts for the seats here. You can kind of see there some of the mounts there that we had to make. So that was the last little bit of fabrication that we had to do. So now that we've got that done, we're really going to start tearing this thing completely apart. You can see here we've already started pulling a lot of the wiring out of the car. We had to just temporarily put the computer and stuff back in for the passenger side to make sure everything cleared over there. You can remember in a previous video how we recessed the computer down underneath the passenger side seat. So that all works out really, really well there. So now we're in the process of, we're going to start tearing this thing completely apart, pull all the exhaust back off of it. We'll pull the body back off of the frame. We'll have to go back in. We're going to do all the paint work on the frame. We're going to paint the engine, the transmission. We'll do all of our undercoating and stuff on the floors of the car. We can start all of our major body work, finish up any kind of little panel alignments. The body will actually go back on the rotisserie, so we can do everything to the bottom side of the car. So again, the car is going to be completely tore apart. I know I've had some questions in the comments and some of my videos are, are you going to tear it all apart to paint it? And yes, we are. This is the stage where we fit everything together to make sure everything works and lines up the way that it's supposed to. Now we're going to go back in and disassemble every nut and bolt, make sure that every little bit of welding is done, make sure every little bit of everything is touched basically. Like I said, from our frame rails, this is the Roadster Shop chassis. We'll completely disassemble it. We'll make sure that all of our control arms are painted, all of our 4-link bars on the rear are painted. Everything has paint everywhere. Any kind of little bit of work where we've done our fabricating up here, like on the firewall to, make any kind of brackets, we'll clean any of that up. We'll paint the firewall, all the inner fenders, all of our panels up here that we made, everything comes apart. So hopefully that answers some of your questions there. Now, one other modification that we're doing to the body is we are using flush fit glass for the windshield and the back glass. So we do have those ordered, and we want to make sure that we do a pre-fit on those before we paint. So we're not going to carry the car completely down. We want to kind of leave some of the weight back on it at this stage when we do that. Those are ordered. They're on the way. As soon as they come in, we'll test fit those, make sure that they work, line up, there's no issues. And then we'll continue with the disassembly process. Moving over to our 72 C10, we do have the cab setting back down on top of the chassis. Everything on the cab has been painted. We've painted the firewall. We've painted underneath the body, so the bottom part of the floor looks just as shiny here as the firewall. As you can see here, we've got it setting back down on our freshly painted Roadster Shop chassis. We've got the motor sitting there. Now this is the LSX 454, a 3.0 Whipple supercharger. It's been fully polished, 4L85 transmission, and then of course all the billet goodies and stuff here on the front. But we've just kind of got that sitting there. As you can see here, we have been started working on our electrical for this truck, which there is a ton of electrical. Now we're using the Terminator, Holley Terminator Max, to control the setup here for the engine and transmission. And as you can see here, we've already started getting all of our dash put back together. John has done a really good job here this week of working on that. We've got decoded digital gauges, brand new gauge cluster there, the vintage air control unit, a retro radio, all new vintage air, all that's mounted in, with the exception of our vents here. We're holding off on those. Got all the sound deadening in here. Now we did 2 layers of, this is a Silas sound deadening and thermal barrier, and then one is just more for sound. So it's about a 5/16 total of sound deadening here inside this truck cab, on the floor, up the firewall, all the way even onto the back side of the dash. We did put in a new dash speaker in there as well, and a new dash pad. Now again, we're not really doing the interior on this one. We're still kind of up in the air of what the interior is actually going to be on this truck. But as you can see here, I don't really think I've covered a whole lot of this truck here on YouTube. I've done a couple of shorts on it, but it's a full Roadster shop chassis. We did full custom stainless exhaust. We did use the Varex mufflers, same mufflers that we've used on the Trans Am, we've used here on the C10. Full polished 3-inch exhaust, and then the exhaust will be coming out here in the center of the rear bumper, which we've highly modified. We've tucked this bumper in closer to the body. We've shortened it up a little bit, redone the whole center section here for the tag. Then we'll actually have that all re-chromed. The front bumper has a very similar treatment as well. There's a lot of modifications on this cab. We do flush fit glass. So what we did on that is we actually used the original glass on this truck. So we kind of modified the cab to fit the glass. So if there ever is an issue with the glass, we can use a factory style back glass and windshield. We've shaved the drip rails. We've reshaped the top of the cab here to give it more of a rounded look there. We've shaved drip rails, like I said, reshaped all of that. And then the front windshield, flush fit, the original size windshield. So everything on that window opening there has been modified, reshaped. Then as you can see here, we have a bigger lip here for our glass to actually sit on. Tons and tons and tons of work on that. Custom firewall, we recessed the firewall back about 1.5 inches, flushed it up, done a whole custom firewall there with that, as you can see. Everything is coming together pretty well on that. We've kind of nicknamed this little truck here Project Overkill for here in the shop. So as you can see here, everything is really done to a high level. There's billet hinges on it as well. We've done bear claw latches and flush fit everything here to give it a more factory look. There's tons and tons and tons of little bitty modifications on this truck here. And the finished color here will be the blue with a pearl white. So it's a really, really pretty blue. This is a newer model color, I believe, off of Nissan or Mitsubishi. I'm not really sure on that. So let me get over to the other building and I'll show you where we are on the 69 Bronco. So I know this looks quite different from where you probably last seen it. This actually is looking really, really, really good. So just a short list of what we've done. I think I've got some video here. I might kind of add it in here to this one. Again, I apologize. We've had so much going on, and this is a really, really busy time of the year for us. But we did go in and basically cut this thing in half. We had, new floors we put in it. These are all new doors, new fenders on the front, obviously an aftermarket hood there. As you can see, So as you can see now, we started going back together with everything on the Bronco. Now everything is just temporarily put into place with sheet metal screws at this point. You can see here we've got our inner rockers, our rocker on here, we've got a door, a post, and as you can see the panel alignment's not just perfect. That is because everything is just screwed into place right now. We're still waiting on a couple of more pieces to kind of finish up the firewall and get everything put into place there. Then we'll kind of go back in and start dialing everything in and welding everything together. Once we get as much of this together as we can to make sure everything lines up. Now this is the original windshield frame and support here. Now you can see it had a little bit of rust here. We took a wire brush. We're going to go back in and do some cleaning and sanding. We'll do a rust treatment and then put an epoxy primer down in that valley before our new upper cowl panel goes on. So I think at this point we're still waiting on one piece for the firewall. We're waiting on a inner fender support over here for the driver's side. But we've already started our sub-assemblies there for the passenger side inner wheel well there. That's ready to go back on. Then once we get our other piece here for the driver's side, we'll get it and then kind of start putting all the front sheet metal together once we get the firewall finished up. Again, like I said, a lot of panel alignment issues there at this point. Everything's just kind of, we want to make sure everything fits as close as we can before any welding is done. As you can see there, all the new sheet metal there. There's new floor pans here on the driver's side, a new transmission tunnel. This upper transmission tunnel there, and then new pans on the passenger side as well. So a lot of sheet metal. All the new firewall up here will be brand new. We've got a new upper cowl piece here for that as well. So a lot of metal work and a lot of rust repair here on this one. But unfortunately, this is kind of how we've had to do a lot of these Broncos. A lot of rust issues. But anyway, everything's kind of coming together, and we didn't really show a whole lot of putting it together, but it's all got to come back apart so we can weld it. So we'll try to get that on footage if we can. But right now, this is where we're at, and it's looking pretty decent. I think everything's kind of lining back up fairly well. So the only things that we had to fabricate really was a little filler panel there between the upper floor and the lower floor section. So this little panel here on both sides, we had to fabricate that, but everything else lines up pretty decent. And then we'll start welding it all back together here in a couple of days. So that's where we're at right now. Still a lot more to do. This is kind of the slow, tedious process. It comes together a lot faster than they come apart a lot faster than they go together, rather. So here we do have our Kenser cage in. We got it in. We went ahead, sanded it, put an epoxy on it, and painted it a Wimbledon white, which will go with the truck. Obviously, the truck's going to be the boxwood green. Troy was actually able to do that for me while I was actually out for vacation, so he done a really good job on that. The cage turned out good. And I'm going to tell you, those Kenser cages, you really cannot beat them. Obviously here you can see we do have our new fender flares on. They're just kind of set in place temporarily to kind of give us an overall look at how things are going. The body, we've actually started, I've helped him fit it. Troy has done all of the welding here, getting this thing welded back up for us, and has done a really, really good job. As you can see here, it's a lot of welds, but it's looking way better than where we were at when we first got this thing. And I'm not going to just dive down into it. Obviously, you can see some things here that are still loose, like the grill. He's had a lot of stuff off and on, fitting this back in and together to get it to where we can actually weld it, make sure everything fits and lines up pretty decent. So he's done a really, really good job with that. New rockers, inners and outers on both sides. Again, new floors. You can see here he started some of the body work here on the upper rails and just kind of around some of our rougher areas that we had. But he's done a really, really good job on that. It's actually moving along very well. Again, we've got just parts scattered everywhere. There's a new tailgate laying there. We have new parts for the suspension laying here. My gosh, things is just in an array right now. We had the both front and rear axles. We had those sent out and had those completely gone through, inspected, made sure everything was good on them. Everything on the rear axle was pretty good. I think they changed a couple of seals on it to fix some leaks. The front axle was pretty much a complete rebuild. We have all brand new chrome ollie axles in this thing. The outer axles, the inner axles, a new pinion. I think the gears was okay, but all of the seals and bearings and all that has been completely re-gone through. So that's in good shape. Obviously the steering rod there, we'll replace it, put a whole new unit on there. But we've got those good to where we can stick those back in when we get ready to do our chassis work. We've also been gathering up our parts for this. We went ahead and got our steel 23-gallon fuel cell for the back. We're planning on doing an EFI setup on that, so that's all come in. Again, we've got our dual shock hoops laying there in the floor for the front. So got that. We'll do dual shocks in the rear. We're going to do a 2-inch body lift on this. Right now we've got it sitting on the frame with just the actual, just the factory style body mounts. So it's sitting just a little bit lower. And then we've got new wheels and tires for this thing coming too, from what the original ones that we first showed up with. So again, Bronco's looking good, C10's looking good, Trans Am's looking good, and it's getting ready to be tore down, kind of in that process. So as you can see, a lot going on. All of my football helmets are stacked up over there that I got to paint next. Just a lot going on. So I do apologize for not having a new video out here in the last couple of weeks. Please forgive me. We're coming up on 4th of July, and stay safe. 4th of July, don't blow your fingers up, don't drink too much, don't get too hot. I think today here in North Mississippi, it's been a cool, about 113 degree heat index. So, you know, pretty cool, right? Anyway, hey, we appreciate you tuning in. Again, I apologize for the lack of videos. We're going to get back on track here right after the 4th. And hey, appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out. And hey, we'll catch you on the next one.